Hey folks, B-Maze here. Just wanted to make a really quick video on the frame assembly for the MV2. It's been a lot of questions on the forums on how does this frame go together. And since I didn't actually do a build video on this particular model, I just figured I'd do a really quick rundown on how to actually assemble the frame. So this is the Armattan MV2, and I'm just going to show you how this frame goes together. Okay, so this bottom portion of the frame here is pretty straightforward actually. You've got your top and bottom plates. You've got your nylon hardware here for your power distribution board and flight control. So before you do anything else with assembly, you want to actually install your nylon hardware here for your flight control. Each arm has two screws that hold the arm in place. Take those two screws, sandwich it between the top and bottom plate, and that's going to hold your arms on. On the front, you can see that the outside screw goes down, where the inside screw, you're going to come up from the bottom, and then there's a standoff that's going to go on the inside screw. That's what's going to the back part of the frame that comes up. That's what it's going to mount to right there. So I've just left that one off so that you can see. So this is the actual frame, which really couldn't be any simpler. So once you have this part assembled, you can begin to install the front and the rear cages. So this is the front cage, and this is the way that it would be placed onto the quad like this. So you've got two arms. I don't know if you can see this down in here. It's this, again, this is already put together. I'm just kind of trying to do a quick and dirty how to do this, but you've got two arms inside of here. Right like this. And that's what's going to raise and lower the flight cam. So what you're going to do is take your screw, go in from the inside here, put one little nut on, and then put one nut on the outside. So that's going to be the same for the top. And then right down here, you've got the screw, a nut, and then a nut on the outside. You're going to do the same thing on both sides. Use the larger standoffs on the top, kind of the middle area right here, and then the bottom of the cage assembly, leaving this whole assembly just like I have it here, kind of loose. That's how it's going to be installed onto the rest of the frame. I do not have the flight cam plate installed at this time. So what I'm going to do is basically squeeze like this, and the carbon fiber does give. Squeeze too hard, you'll break it, but you shouldn't have to squeeze that hard to get it together. So I'm going to squeeze, and that's going to lock into this tab and this tab on the front of the quad. Okay, so that's more or less locked into place. Now what I want to do is install the FPV cam plate. So I'm going to have to do that off camera, but basically I'm just going to finagle that into there, right like this. The next piece that we want to go ahead and fish in there is going to be this little piece right here. This is going to go right down here in the bottom. And see if you can see that there's a cutout right here and a cutout right here. This notch and this notch, and these notches right here, that's what's going to go in those cutouts. You certainly don't have to, but you can install this ahead of time I personally think it makes assembling the frame a whole lot harder. If you install this ahead of time, you can put a screw on this little notch right here. This is for a nut, and the screw for that will go through this hole that you can just barely see right there to hold this together. That's not needed though, I promise. If you just pop this into here, into these notches right like this, you'll be good to go. So I'm going to pop this in off camera and I'll be right back. So here this is in place. I should have mentioned this does kind of have a front and a rear. This little oval shaped hole here is going to go to the front, and the main reason for that is the notches are off centered. So you want this to where the back just barely clips onto the back of the frame. Otherwise it's going to get into the way of where your battery is. So here's the camera mount, or camera tilt assembly, all installed. So that's the front of the quad, and all we have to do now is go back and tighten up these standoffs. So the back is super simple. The back of the quad is going to be assembled like this. 3 standoffs, and then the right and left hand sides. Now I have the bottom standoff tight, but I have the top and this middle standoff loose, so that I have plenty of flex in the frame there. So I'm going to do the same thing on here that we did on the front, only on the front we were squeezing, and on the rear we're going to be kind of pulling these apart. So the rear is a whole lot easier actually. So we're just going to fit these two on here. Go ahead and basically get one side in, and the other side should just kind of fall right into place. So there's the back, and the back is all done. All I need to do is tighten up the top standoff, the middle standoff. So there's the frame, 95% complete. All we have to do at this point is install the top plate. This is these tabs right here and here are going to click into this opening right here and here. Let me get this other standoff threaded on. So basically this is super simple. You just pop one side in, squeeze a little bit, pop the other side in. The back is going to go right here in this little notch, this notch. So you just kind of fold it down just a little bit. I'm going to tighten up this one screw here so it doesn't pop out on me. And then we've got the screws that will be installed straight down through the top. So there it is. Fully assembled Armattan MV2. Super simple, a whole lot simpler than what folks think it is. Admittedly, getting this front cage assembly on can be a bit of a chore. Just be careful, take your time. It'll all go together just fine. Thanks guys, have a great day.